Today, we're going to talk about the power of love and how to live it. But along with that goes how to magnify love in your life, which is what we're here to do. So in A Course in Miracles, it says you cannot destroy anything that's real, and the only thing that's real is love. So that's a wonderful statement. I don't know if everybody really understands what it means, but it refers to the fact that everything in the universe, both tangible in form or intangible as an energy, is constructed out of love. And so the only thing that is always there and never goes away is love. So scientists have done their research on this, and they say they have found that this energy that is being referred to, they call it the quantum field. So they've actually proven its existence, the quantum field. They have proven that behind everything in form and material, everything is made out of love. So basically, if you took a high-powered microscope and you kept looking into this matter, any matter, and you just kept going past all the layers and the quarks and the everything, and just kept moving all those layers aside, at the very, very bottom and essence of it all would be love. It's light. It appears as light. But that light and love are the same thing. Let there be light, and there was light. So we call that light love. We call that light God. And so the truth of the matter is, it's already been proven that God is with us all the time. We don't have to go seek it because it's there all the time. All we have to do is move aside this little cloud in our perception and see what's already there. So basically, we live in two worlds, the inner and the outer. The inner world is the one we're talking about right now. It cannot be destroyed. The inner world is always with us, and its energy, its stillness, its peace, and its love. The outer world is that which we experience with our senses. As he was saying earlier, this is about experiences. It's our sense perception, and it's our form body, and it's the form that we're looking at, the form we have created in our mind, called the earth life. I call it the earth life. And so it's there too, but it's there per our perception and per how we want to perceive it. So as we perceive the outer world, we respond to it in one of two ways. We respond in love, or we respond in fear. Love is of God, fear is of the ego. So we have this false self called the ego. It's a personality that we've created. And it's a moldable. It's like a piece of clay. We can change it, and we can mold it into anything we want. So that's what today is really about. Love is seeing the possibilities and enjoying the ride, as you were saying. And we're having a good time on the ride, hopefully, or we're not, depending on how you perceive it. Fear is seeing from a very tiny picture, a very tiny perception, and it's basically not being up for the opportunity. Fear is the part of us that will judge, that will resist, that will try to control everything, and it shrinks us. It reduces our possibilities when we move into fear. So when I was a young girl, my mother used to say to us, now what are the neighbors going to say about that? And I always thought that was a weird thing to say. I guess your parents have said the same thing. Because I thought, one, I don't know the neighbors. And two, if that's all they got to think about, they really need to get a hobby. It made no sense to me. And I told my mom, I said, you know, Mom, I don't really care what the neighbors think. If they really want to spend their time worrying about us, they really need to get a life, you know. So I don't think she liked that very much. But the truth is that the ego is the part of you that worries. The ego is a part of you that only sees the negative possibility. What are the neighbors going to think? I don't know. I never concern myself with it. Worry is distraction from our true self. It keeps us stuck. So when people come to me and they say, I'm stuck, help me, we start looking at what are they telling themselves? How are they keeping themselves stuck? So picture the sun, and the sun is this beautiful light in the sky. It's a metaphor. It's a metaphor for who we truly are. And the sun is constantly shining its light to every single person. It shines its light to the angry, and to the happy, to the poor, and to the rich, and to the criminal, and to the people who are following all the rules. It shines its light to every single person indiscriminately. It doesn't care. Just like I don't care about what the neighbor's saying, it doesn't care who you are. It's shining its light to you. So that's why I call it a metaphor, because that's who we really are in our core. We are many suns. We are many suns, and we have the opportunity at every single moment to shine our light, to express, to share, to beam love to every person. And as we do this, what happens? We feel good. We feel happy. We feel powerful. We feel in love. We feel in joy. We can laugh more easily. As we're true to that essence, then we live a glorious life. That doesn't mean we don't have issues and challenges along the way, but we can address them through that energy of love. The more we give out, just like the big sun, the more we give out, the more we become it, the more we engage in it, the stronger we are, the healthier we are, the more powerful we are. And in all ways, everything is better. We laugh more easily. Our true self wants to live in love, to expand, to experience, and to play and laugh. So you know someone who's awake because they laugh more, right? So love is also magnetic, and it draws to us what we want. Fear is the opposite. It repels and constricts, but it's also magnetic because it will draw to you whatever you don't want. So we have to be afraid of it. How do we do this? We discipline our mind, basically, is what we do. We focus. You know, the saying is, whatever you focus on expands. Is true. And you've all proven it in one way or the other. Whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you give attention to expands. So we're going to do an experiment now, and this is how we're going to prove it to you, in case you're having any doubts. Close your eyes for just a second, and then think about something, an occasion that was just so much fun, it was so joyful. Or think about someone you just dearly love, and hold your attention on that person and on that occasion, and on the joy you were feeling at that moment. And as you focus on that, begin to notice what's happening in your body. Sometimes it could be a tingle, or it could be a sense of expansion, or it could be just a warm feeling throughout. But whatever it is you're noticing, notice that your body is not tight anymore. It's expanded. And that's love. That's what love does. Now take a moment and let that go for a second. And now we're going to move into the opposite of that. And notice now, pay attention to a feeling of distress. Close your eyes and feel a moment of distress, a moment of, oh, how am I going to get through this? A moment of disturbance, something that is really bothersome. And just take a moment and feel that. We're not going to stay here very long because we don't want to. But I want you to notice how your body changes when you feel that moment of distress and you feel kind of trapped with it. And your body begins to contract, and there's kind of a bad feeling that goes with it. So then change that and move it back into the love that you truly are. But in that time, you can see that if you spent an hour, a day, a week, a month, a year in this place of distress, as many people do, many people do, you can see what happens to your body. And that's just a little metaphor for what happens to your mind and your soul and your whole experience in this earth life. You know, when you live in constriction, when you only find the negative in everything, that's what happens to your consciousness, and that's what happens to your body and your soul and your mind and your whole experience. So we want to let all that go, and I'm going to give you some ideas how to do that. Because ego, worry, fretting is all tightness, restriction. It's being worn out. It's being exhausted. Because we're trying to go against who we are. Who we are is this, and we're trying to keep it this, you know. So here's the solution. Jesus instructed us to forgive them, for they know not what they do. At that moment, he was referring to the soldiers that were casting lots for his garments, and they were persecuting him. But he was talking in a broader sense, too. He was saying, whatever's going on in your world and you feel like you're being tormented, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because he was saying that anyone who is mean-spirited, cruel, or gossipy, they're operating from a wounded self. They're operating from a place that does not understand. And they don't get the fact that they're creating havoc in their own life, terrible havoc in their own life. But they're also trying to spread it out to everybody else. So instead of becoming enraged with the drama that's going on, move yourself out of it. Because if you take on their wound, then you're wounded too. If you take on that angst that, you know, they're being mean-spirited, they're telling rumors about you, whatever, then you're moving into the victim stage, and you are also constricted then. Okay? But he was saying, no, let's do something else. When we engage, we become victims. We don't have to become engaged. So recently the tornado came through my home too, and the roof got damaged, and the part of the deck flew off, and there was no electric for several days. And somebody said to me, how come you're so calm? And I said, well, I don't want to do the other. I don't want to go in that other place. I want to stay right where I am. I want to stay in peace and love. I choose that. And so I think there's a lot of discipline that goes with that. You have to keep reminding yourself, you have a choice here. I choose peace and love. And so what happened is, you know, people came to my rescue. I mean, everything got resolved so quickly. It was so fast. The deck got put together, the roof got put back on, you know, the electric came back on. And just a lot of cool things happened. So again, that was a reward of me choosing to stay in peace and calm. So we get to, the thing is I really want to make the point of is there's people are wounded, and they're wounded by all kinds of things. Somebody on the playground said, oh, you're, well, I remember when I was a kid, somebody called me Four Eyes. You know, well, I interpreted that as meaning I'm ugly, I'm unworthy, you know, blah, 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 okay? They picked up a saying from the playground and they threw it out at me. They probably didn't even have any meaning with it at all. But the point is, silly things like that happen, and we walk around with that wound. And of course, at some point I had to straighten myself out about it and go, that means nothing, you know, it really doesn't mean anything. But we have to love ourselves so absolutely so much that we refuse to get entangled in any of that sort of thing. You know, it's a challenge through life. It's an opportunity too. It's an opportunity to grow. So imagine you're walking down this path, and there's another kid coming the other way, and all of a sudden he just out of the blue he kicks you. This little kid kicks you, and you go, what? You know? Now maybe we want to slap him, or maybe we want to go, what is going on with this kid that he would kick a total stranger like this, okay? But that's the picture that we have when people are wounded, that they're kicking you for no good reason. Why? Because they've got such angst inside of them that they have to let it go. They do things like that. And when we can step back and go, oh, they're wounded. That's what's going on, they're wounded. And I don't have to respond to that. I don't have to do something back. And to me, that's a perfect example of what it's like to deal with wounded people. Somebody's yelling at you when you're driving, or all kinds of weird things like that go on. Or maybe the store clerk has just got in an angry mood today. You let it go because she's wounded. We don't know why she's wounded. She's wounded. So we want to understand that every person is our brother. And hopefully, if your brother was in a bad place, you would try to just support him, right? You would love him anyway, correct? So that's what we want to do. We want to learn to love our brothers. So that means that when your partner's in a bad mood, you forgive. That means if your insurance premium goes up and you weren't expecting it, you forgive. That doesn't mean you don't address it, but you forgive. That means if somebody spreads a rumor about you that's not true, you forgive, right? So that's an ongoing practice that we work with every single day of our life. We return to the innocence that we had as a child, to the time when before we were programmed to be angry, to be vengeful, to be upset. We return to that, and we live that. We live that. How can we increase the love in our life? We forgive. Luke says, "But I say unto you that here, love your enemies." That's what he's talking about. Do good to them that hate you. Bless them that curse you. Pray for them that despitefully use you. Big order, right? But as you get used to it, it's not. It really becomes very easy. Ephesians says, "Be ye therefore imitators of God as beloved children." I personally love that because I think what would be a better goal to say, I'm going to be an imitator of God. I'm going to learn how to imitate the love that God is. John 4 says, Beloved, let us move one another. Let us love one another because love is of God. Everyone who loves is begotten of God and has knowledge of God. The man without love has known nothing of God, for God is love. So here's our choice again, Here's the choice. So in conclusion, you are powerful when you love generously because love attracts the life you want. And there's no greater freedom than forgiveness. You are free when you forgive. It's like this mini sun that you are is glowing now. And when you're doing anything that's negative, there's a cloud that covers it. The sun's still there, but you can move aside the cloud anytime you want. That's freedom. We want to choose love because we don't want the opposite. And you're always choosing the energy you express. That is because we have free will. So I bless you in this, and may you always make good choices.